video you're about to watch is a condensed version of a 2-hour video that's over on my Patreon channel showing the entire chambering process of one of my barrels by my gunsmith. This should definitely not be taken as a instructional video, all right? This is not a how-to. This is not a, oh, I could go do it on my own now. This is really meant more as an educational, informative video so that you can have better conversations with your gunsmith, and also so that you can understand, you know, why does it cost so much to chamber a barrel? I think after watching this, if you're not familiar with the process, you'll definitely understand it. Also, you know, please understand the machines that they are using to chamber barrels, CNC lathes, you know, milling machines, whatever it is for gunsmithing work, these are dangerous. These are machines that require experience and education to use properly. And, you know, no joke, they can cause injury or death. There is no amount of human force that can stop a lathe while it's in motion. So if you aren't careful, if you aren't experienced, and if you aren't always on your toes, they will hurt you. So again, you know, this should be taken in the vein of, I've always wondered what goes into chambering a barrel. Now I have a little better idea. Now I can have some good conversations with my gunsmith, or, you know, fellow shooters, or whatever the case is. And I thought this would be a really good follow-up video since we just spent some time at JGS watching how a reamer got made. Well, now you get to see that reamer in action. So I hope everybody enjoys this. And, you know, again, if you want to see the full-length video, along with a lot of other full-length, non-ad-based videos, head over to my Patreon page. The link is down in the description below. But otherwise, have a good one and enjoy. All right, here we are on what Terry calls his modern machine, and this is where he does, you just do barrel work on this one, right?
Barrels only.
Barrels only. So here's how you set this one up. Now this is very different than what we just saw. So this is the barrel coming out of the headstock, and then on the back side, and feel free to correct me if I use the wrong terms here, but idiot non-machinist doing a video. Then we have a spider, which is right there.
Yes.
And that holds the back side of the barrel to keep it from whipping around, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you've got a
an
indicator here. So
yeah. So let's set up, and I'll show you.
Okay.
1000s. And we're gonna run that around and try and get that centered up. And so that's a high spot. So do you want to be over on this other side?
Yeah, I can come over here.
Maybe you can see better.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so you're just tightening around
Till I get
very little movement on that indicator.
Yeah, if any.
So you've got your mark on there.
Yeah, I should bring up the fact that this is the headspace gauge, and I run this barrel out to where this pivot point right here would be right where the neck and throat is.
Okay.
That's how I set the distance here.
Oh, okay. So that's going to be different for every chamber.
Is. Yeah, like for a 6BR, it'd be a lot shorter.
Gotcha.
I'm going to mark right up here, a high spot.
Okay.
Another high spot right here. So we're going to go to the center of that, and we're going to come down here.
Okay.
On this end. So that tells me that this barrel now is going up right here.
Okay.
Again, so let's run this back in.
Okay.
And see if we helped it any. And we did.
Okay.
Because now we're within a couple of 10,000ths. So now we're going to come back out.
Okay. Here
and see where we are. This would be about right in here. We'll see how straight this is.
So what he's doing now is we're just doing the same process a couple times over. First time was just with a fresh barrel. He went through and cleaned it out. Just get a little finer reading on it now. And we'll check back as soon as he's done getting this
running true in the grooves right here where the pivot point is, or where the throat and neck is.
Yeah.
And we're going to run this in a little ways further, another 3/4 inch, and it's still pretty straight.
Okay.
All right, so
now we're done back here as well?
Yeah, I'm going to make sure that I got this tight enough that it'll hole. But
now, how do you tighten that without affecting any deflection on it?
well, I just watch the indicator.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Okay, so what we're going to do now, next, is we're going to cut the trunnion. So we're getting down, we're at 78, we need to be at 62, so gonna run that up there, and then we're very slowly gonna run this out and square that shoulder up. Okay, so we got our threading tool set up here,
Okay.
and the Defiance is 1 16 thread, so we're gonna set this up for that.
You have most of those settings memorized?
Yes. Okay, so we're gonna make a cut here. Then we're going to get our thread pitch gauge out here, and we're going to double check to make sure there's a
What do we got?
there's a 16 right there, and we're going to check this to make sure that we're actually cutting 16 threads. Okay, we're getting down to the nitty gritty here. I'm going to round that end off a little bit. We're getting down close.
So how do you know when the threads are deep enough?
Well, experience, for one thing, and then we're going to check it on the action. I'll show you in a second here. So, we're going to take another pass at the same setting. Okay, that goes on. So we got the threads cut. So now we're going to cut the cone.
So let me ask you a question. I'm assuming you know as a machinist, but what is actually holding when I put a torque wrench, on my action wrench, and I torque the action to the barrel? Is it the friction of the shoulder against the face of the action, or is it the compression of the threads?
Well, it's both, but it's mostly the shoulder. The shoulder is what stops you from going ahead. So when you hit the shoulder, that snugs up the threads.
Gotcha. It pulls them tight.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so the cone on a Defiance is 30 degrees, so we're going to set this at 30.
And that's because I use a cone bolt versus a BR bolt?
Yeah.
Or Remington bolt?
Yeah, Remington takes a whole different setup.
Yeah. And for those that don't know, if you look here at my lugs, see how my lugs taper down to the sides? So that's a cone bolt. That fits into a cone. And you'll see
I'm going to make a cone in the back of the barrel.
Yeah, so you'll see him. If you have a Remington bolt face, it would be a flat.
Yeah, with a recess in it.
With a recess in it, yeah. Everything with machining is managing your passes.
Yes.
It's really fascinating to watch.
Okay, now we're going to stick the action on there and see where we're at.
Okay.
This is a kind of a slow process, but I'm really anal about my bolt to barrel clearance.
Yeah.
You get too much and you're going to have exposed case head.
Yeah.
Too little and the bolt's going to be hitting the barrel.
So it's both a safety and performance issue. I think the important thing for people to remember is like there's different ways to chamber barrels. I mean, there is no one way. This is just the way that you've found works really well for the people that you chamber guns for. It's a process that you're very comfortable with, and it produces repeatable results.
And it sets national records.
And it sets national records. Yeah.
Okay, we're going to pre-bore this, and we're going to set this at about doesn't matter. That's about 7 degrees.
How come not 90?
Well, because we're going to go in at a roughly the same angle as what the taper is on the reamer, but only a little steeper.
Oh, okay. I'm assuming that's like a machining 101 thing you learn. Never try to hog it all off at once.
Yeah, that's right. We're going to cut the chamber a little bit shorter than what the headspace gauge is. And then when we get down to that close, then we'll know how much to set this back to finish it. So we're going in there and we're cutting that. You can see now we got a hole started there. Okay, what I've done here is I started that reamer in that pre-bored hole, and I put this indicator in there just to see how we're doing, and we're going to spin this around and see what we got. And the needle doesn't even move.
Wow.
So we've got a round hole.
I wouldn't even think that indicator was touching.
Yeah. Stop until I get closer. Put this back on. There's our top dead center. Okay, right there would be 15 thousandths, and we're there, so that's about 10. So we're going to go another 5. We're going to go about 7 thousandths.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, one of the things that I always do when I do a barrel is I take 5 seconds and clear my mind and make sure that this headspace gauge is in where it should be. If the headspace is correct and it's sticking clear out there, you've cut the training too short. And you will have an unsupported case.
Yeah.
So always just look at that and make sure that I got everything right.
Yeah.
And it's not going to blow up in somebody's face. Because when I do a barrel for somebody, they assume that when they take it out to shoot it, it's going to be okay.
So that's probably about half, a little more than half of what you normally put on the full torque.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, look at that. All right, well he's just given the barrel a light, just a very light polish before we go to put the tuner threads on. So the chamber is all done at this point. So he's just got this thing chucked up, just hitting it with a little bit of sandpaper and just making it look pretty. All right, he's moving up in grit. And one thing to note is you'll see right here where it's making the connection on one side. The reason he polishes now is because once you've crowned the barrel, you don't want to go shoving anything in the end of it like that. So if he polishes it now, then he'll do the crown and the tuner thread later, and won't have to come back and risk damaging the crown on it. Well, the barrel is now polished up, and he's getting it trued back in the lathe again. So even when doing just something as simple as a tuner threading, you still go through the same process of getting that barrel trued up, right?
Centered up.
Or centered up.
Yeah. We're always working off the center line of the bore.
Okay.
That looks pretty good. Good enough for the girls we go with.
And we're putting on, so this is the Cortina version 2 tuner, so it's not going to require as much metal to come off. So we're going from a 1 1/4 outer to about an inch. So we're only losing about a 1/4 inch, 1/8 of an inch on each side. And so we're working off these dimensions up here.
Yeah, I'm going to cut the crown.
Okay. So you don't really use a crowning tool, a proper crowning tool. You do the hand crown.
I'll show you here in a second when I make the last cut.
Oh, it's so pretty.
I'm going to stop that, and now I'm going to go with 11 degree, which I'm doing by hand. The compound you have to turn by hand.
So what's the advantage of an 11 degree? I know a lot of people go with an 11.
There is no advantage. I've tried every kind of crown you can possibly imagine. As long as they're square and clean, it doesn't make any difference.
So this is a very similar process to putting the tenon on.
Yep, we are. We're cutting a tenon and we're threading it. It's the same process.
The smell of burnt metal. All right, so we've gotten down to the base dimension, and now he is scoring. There's two separate measurements. There's about 400 thousandths that is threadless, and then there is the remainder that is threaded. So he's measuring out both of those dimensions, and then we'll probably start taking a little bit more metal off and then threading for the actual tuner, because not the entire end of the barrel is not threaded. So there's actually going to be about half smooth and then half threaded. So
$9.75.
And what do we have to get to?
It says $9.35.
Okay. Watching all this mess, I was asking Terry earlier, how often do you clean your lathe? And he said every single time he uses it, he cleans it off. So that's, it's not a deep clean, but that's going to be getting all the chips and wiping down the oil, the lathes, the compound, the cross slide, the tooling. So in between every single barrel, this thing gets cleaned. That's pretty impressive. Closer. That'll just help it slip over a little better.
It should, yes.
All right, here we go. The plastic washer goes, or you're just trying it with the compression?
Let's try it and see if it's going to
hold. Yeah, so these new ones, the idea is to get it to flush with the end of the barrel. That's your starting point. Yeah, there you go. All right, we're going to get this cleaned up, get our tuner put back together properly and back on, and we'll show you the finished product. That is a fully installed tuner. So, well, Terry, I'd like to thank you for your time and your generosity in letting us come down here. I know that these kinds of things aren't easy to show people, and there's a lot of different ways to do it, and it's easy for people to say that's the right or wrong way. But I got to tell you, having seen multiple national records set with his guns, and just my own experiences and some other people's, I can't thank you enough for what you do, Terry.
You're welcome.
All right, guys. Well, that's, Talking with Terry again, extended edition. We'll hopefully get down here and do something different with him next time. Hope you guys are doing well. Talk to you later. Have a good one.